"You don't belong here, old man." That's what Cassandra Harlow's son screamed at me right to my face while I was just lying by my own pool trying to soak in a little peace. He had those designer sunglasses on, cocky as a kid who's never been told no, and his two buddies were right there behind him. Phones out already filming like this was some prank show, and I was the punchline. I'll be honest, I could have shut that circus down in 10 seconds flat, one sentence easy, but I didn't. Because sometimes the best thing you can do with folks who think they're untouchable is let them feel untouchable. Let them dig that hole a little deeper, you know what I mean? Anyway, I'd moved to Riverside Meadows thinking I was buying myself a little slice of peace two-story house backyard pool place where the loudest thing was supposed to be cicadas singing in the heat. I'm not saying it was paradise, but on paper it looked about as close as you could get. 120 houses, lawns, all perfect, a community center that actually got used now and then. What nobody mentioned was the price you paid for perfection. And I'm not just talking about the mortgage. That day, I was 3 chapters deep in a paperback crime novel, which is a little ironic given my line of work when I heard the gate creak. Not a knock, not a friendly hey neighbor, just that metallic scrape like whoever was coming thought they owned the place. I didn't look up right away. Folks who barge into your space like that are just fishing for a reaction, and I wasn't about to hand them one. I could tell from the footsteps there were at least 3 teenagers full of that loud, brash energy that says they've never had real consequences. "Hey, old man, you're not supposed to be here." That's the first thing out of the lead kid's mouth. I peek over my sunglasses, and yeah, he's got that haircut, those fancy trunks, the whole attitude. And his friend already filming thinking this is about to go viral. They really thought they were about to kick a grown man out of his own backyard for the gram. I sat up, set my book down real careful. "This is my pool," I said, not angry, just matter of fact. He smirked, like I'd told him a joke. "My mom's the HOA president. Every pool in the neighborhood is under HOA regulations. I got the right to use any amenity, and if you're breaking occupancy rules, I got the right to enforce them." I almost laughed. I mean, this kid believed it. You could tell nobody'd ever explained the actual law to him, just handed him a badge and let him play sheriff. "Your mom runs the homeowners association," I said, "so she's got a say over community stuff, the clubhouse, the neighborhood pool. This one you're standing by, it's on my property. That makes it mine." But he just grinned wider. "You don't get it. My mom decides what's allowed. If she says your pool's a community resource, it is. So you either leave or I call security." Now, maybe you've met someone like that, a person who thinks rules are whatever they say as long as they say it loud enough. There's a special kind of anger in that. But I kept my cool. I stood up. "Yeah, I'm a tall guy," which gave him just enough pause. "Go ahead, call whoever you want," I told him, folding my towel and gathering my stuff, moving slow, making sure they saw me leave. I figured let them think they won. Let them have their little victory dance. And sure enough, as I watched through the kitchen window, they splashed around in my pool like they'd conquered something. 10 minutes later, they were gone, and the silence left behind was different, thick, expectant. I headed to my home office, opened the bottom drawer, and there it was, my badge, Sheriff Riverside County. I'd been elected 8 months before, kept it low-key on purpose. Sometimes you want to see how a place works when folks don't know there's a cop next door. That night, I dug into the HOA's website. There she was, Cassandra Harlow, president, sharp blazer, smile that never hid her eyes. Rules and regulations. They were, let's say, creative. Fines for paint colors, mailbox shades, you name it. But the part that stuck with me, community monitors may conduct inspections to ensure compliance. It didn't say a word about my private pool. I started documenting dates, times, names, everything. If there's one thing 2 decades of law enforcement teaches you, it's that paperwork wins the fight. I spent the next day talking to neighbors. Calvin, the retired mailman who'd been fined $2,000 for painting his house the wrong beige. Linda, a nurse fined for leaving her trash can out after a double shift. Owen and Hazel, a young couple with a $1 or $200 noise fine for renovations they did during business hours. The pattern was clear: speak up, get fined. Challenge the board, get crushed. Sunday afternoon, I installed security cameras, visible but not aggressive, cloud-backed, time-stamped. If anyone tried to push me around again, I'd have evidence you could show in court. Monday morning, I had my first face-to-face with Cassandra herself. Grocery store coffee aisle. She was every inch the photo designer close handshake, like a business deal. She called what happened at my pool a misunderstanding. Her son was just enthusiastic part of the community monitoring program. I told her straight up, her boy wasn't enforcing anything but his own ego, and I wasn't about to let it slide. She tried to play nice, but it was a threat, and pearls get with the program or life gets hard. That night I called Logan, my old civil rights attorney buddy. He took one look at the bylaws, the fines, the financial records, and said what I already suspected, Mason, this is protection racketeering with legal stationery. We needed more proof of patterns, proof of benefit, and victims willing to speak up. And let me tell you, people were scared. You can only take so many fines before you just stop fighting. But that's where the twist came in. A nurse, a carpenter, a tech worker, folks who'd been bullied and battered into silence, they were ready to do something, even if it was just share stories. We formed a group chat. I taught them how to document every fine, every violation, every suspicious contract. And the more we dug, the uglier it got. $180,000 in HOA money funneled to Cassandra's company, fines that followed any neighbor who so much as questioned a landscaping bid, threats of liens for unpaid violations. So I let them push me. Dylan, now with backup, tried a second time, brought muscle, tried to intimidate, even got physical. But this time, every second was recorded assault property damage witness. Intimidation, all with neighbors standing at the fence filming. That's when I dropped it. You know, your mom doesn't have the sheriff in her pocket. I am the sheriff. Faces dropped. Dylan's little army bolted. By Monday, I filed charges, assault, trespassing, destruction, the works, and started the wheels for a state investigation into the HOA's finances. Then I walked door to door, gathered signatures for an emergency HOA meeting, 42 households in a single afternoon. At the meeting, Cassandra tried to hold court, but one by one, neighbors stood up. Nurse Carpenter, the guy fined for his flag, telling their stories. I put up the evidence, fines, bank statements, videos. The vote was swift. Board recalled, new elections scheduled, Cassandra out. Did she go quietly? Of course not. She threatened me, threatened the community, but it was over. The prosecutor took over. Forensic audits confirmed the theft. Dylan, now in juvenile court, got community service, anger management, a ban from HOA enforcement. Cassandra, 3 years in prison, restitution, fines, and barred from serving on any board for a decade. And you know what happened next? Not much. That's the point. No more fear, no more secret fines, no more rules about which beige you could paint your house. Folks started flying flags, planting flowers, holding cookouts, real community, not one controlled by threats and paperwork. The new board kept everything transparent, meetings open, financials, posted, complaints handled like adults. Sometimes people ask me, why'd you bother? Why not just move? And the truth is, sometimes you're the one with the badge, the know-how, the privilege to stand up when others can't. If you don't use it, what's the point? That's what justice looks like, folks getting their lives back, not because some hero swooped in, but because someone gave them the tools and courage to fight together. Now, 6 months later, I sit by my pool and it's quiet in a whole new way. Earned quiet. Not the hush of fear, but the peace that comes from knowing you don't have to look over your shoulder every time you hear a gate creak. Sometimes I still think about Cassandra, about Dylan, about how easy it is to confuse authority with ownership. Power just reveals who you are. It doesn't make you better or worse. The real lesson: community isn't about rules or fines. It's about neighbors looking out for each other and knowing when to stand up together. So let me ask you, when you see someone abusing their authority, do you keep your head down or do you fight back? What's justice look like to you? Retribution or a community that finally gets to breathe? Drop your thoughts below. And if you've ever tangled with an HOA or stood up to a bully in your own backyard, I want to hear your story. because nobody should have to fight alone.